Do you want to stop playing nervous in games forever and start being confident from now on? I've got something that'll help you literally today. Play a lot more confident, maybe even solve the problem for the rest of your life. So you'll definitely want to apply what I'm giving you in this video like right now. Don't wait till later. Put this in your game today. I can guarantee you, you will see a difference. Now, there's a player that's actually a really good example of this. In fact, drop me a comment. Let me know if you can think of an NBA player who just, when they came into the league for the first few years of their NBA career, they looked sort of nervous and unconfident, uncertain, and maybe even a little bit shy and scared and timid. And now when they go out on the court, they feel like they're the best player on the court. They look confident, they look hungry, they look mean, they look intense, they look focused. They know what they're gonna do on the court, and they know that they're gonna get the best of whoever steps in front of them. The player I'm thinking of is Giannis Antetokounmpo. He's got that mean mug going right now when he gets in games, right? That mean face. And it's funny because he actually said when he started playing in the NBA after like a season or two, he started practicing in the mirror, making that mean face, right? All these different little mean expressions. Now, there's something behind that that will actually make an impact on your game that you're probably not even thinking about. And first of all, before we get into like the main thing you need to do, stand like this. Tell me how that makes you feel. Stand like this, with your chest out. Tell me how that makes you feel. Make a sad face. How does that make you feel? Make a mean face, an intense face. How does that make you feel? Your body posture, your facial posture, what your muscles are doing, that sends signals to your brain from your nervous system. Your nervous system connects your brain to your muscles. It's not just brain telling the muscles what to do. There's also what the muscles are doing tells the brain what to do. That affects the way you think. So if you go into games kind of shy and timid and scared and this is your posture and you're, got that timid expression on your face, that's actually going to affect the way you play. Now, I'm not saying you necessarily have to be like Giannis and go into the mirror and practice, but hey, at the end of the day, if this is really giving you problems, maybe that's something worth giving a shot, because if it worked for him, look at him now. I'm not just saying that's the only thing that got him where he is, but you can see the difference in the way he approaches the entire game, approaches a defender. He's not afraid of anyone. It used to be like when he came in the NBA, you could tell that he was hesitant and he wasn't certain. And I've got a feeling you might be that way. I used to be that way. I used to come into games kind of timid and shy, and because of that, I played that way. When I saw an opportunity to attack, I would think about it like, I don't know if I can get there. Then I just lost the opportunity. Or if I decided to take advantage of that opportunity, it was too late because defenders jumped in front of me, and now I got the ball stolen, or I lost it because I freaked out. All that happens because of what's going on up here. So let's talk about what you do need to do. Okay, we've all heard about Mamba mentality, but another player that actually played with Kobe had another sort of mentality. Leave me a comment, let me know if you think you know who it is. It was Shaq. I watched a lot of NBA highlight mixtapes when I was younger, and Shaq, he said he was two different players or people on the court versus off the court. Now, if you watch him like his rookie, even now, like watch him in like interviews and things like that, he's kind of a goofy guy, right? He's not afraid to tell a few jokes and say some funny things and use some funny voices and just say things, little quips, right? But when you watch him on the court, did he look like that? No. He said that himself. He said, I'm funny, goofy off the court, but on the court, completely different personality. Game face. I don't talk trash, I don't talk to none, I just mean mug everybody. Mean face. Intense, focused. That creates a presence. So what you need to do is think of yourself as two different people. Yes, I'm telling you to be a little bit schizophrenic or have a split personality. On the court, you got a different personality than off the court, right? Clark Kent, Superman. Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde, right? Those two personalities, you've got to start to develop those. Off the court, you can be the nicest person. You can be goofy. You can be whatever you want. You can be shy. You can be timid. But on the court, you've got to start approaching things differently, because not only is that going to affect, like we talked about before, the way you mentally approach a game and attack quick and what your muscles do and your body does, but it's also going to have an effect on your defenders, on the other team, on your teammates. That aura comes across. When you are like, yeah, I'm the man on the court, your teammates trust you a little bit more. They can tell you're a little bit more confident. Defenders think, okay, this player's focused and determined. Like if you show any hesitation, that's like to a defender, blood in the water for a shark. Okay, it's time to attack. I'm going to rip this guy, take the basketball. They can see that. They can see when you hesitate, when you overthink. But if you go into the game with this alter ego, thinking to yourself, no one can stop me. No one can stay in front of me. I'm out here to have lunch. I'm eating everybody up on the court, right? If you go into the game with that mentality, now what happens to your posture? What happens to the way you play? What happens to the way you think when you see that opening? What happens to the way you focus, right? You don't worry about who's going to stand in front of me. What are they going to do? Oh no, you worry about all the bad things that could happen when you have the timid mind frame. But if you've got the confident mind frame and like, I'm the best player at the court, that changes everything as far as the way you're going to approach those moves. You're going to come at them hard. You're going to come at them more focused, right? You're going to look at the opportunities. You're going to look at the positive things. You're going to look at the shots you can make, the layups you can make, the assists you can make, the ankles you can break, the moves that you can pull off, right? You're like, I got this down, right? Now, to really master this, so you can't just expect to jump into a game and make this work, right? There's something you have to do to make this a part of you. Okay, so if you want to play like a more confident player, you can't simply just jump into games and think it's going to just turn on like a light switch if you've never worked on this before. People make the mistake of thinking like, okay, you can develop skills, you spend time working on them, and I highly recommend you do. That will make you a more confident player. But just having more skills, like I used to work my butt off in the driveway, man. I would practice so much every day, probably more than anybody else on my team, and guess where I was? Last man on the bench, sometimes didn't play a single second. Don't be that guy. So what you need to do is approach your mentality different as far as practicing that. You have to practice your mentality. So there's a couple things you can do to work on that. First of all, when you're in practice, approach it like a game and think of yourself as being the best player on the court. I remember when I used to practice in the driveway, I would always be like doing my moves and thinking to myself, well, hopefully I don't lose the ball. Hopefully my defender won't jump in front of me when I try this move in the game. Hopefully I can get that shot off quick enough that they won't block it. I was thinking about all the bad things that could happen. So first thing you need to do is flip the script on that. Think about all the ways you're going to dominate. Like, I'm going to make this shot. I'm going to make the game winner. I'm going to break some ankles with this crossover, right? I'm going to make a sick no-look assist. I'm going to make just a good, simple assist, but get it there quick before any defenders can get their hand in there and people didn't think I could get that pass off. Approaching things mentally like that, number one. Number two, start to develop that alter ego. So if this has to start in your bedroom mirror or the bathroom mirror and you looking and getting that mug down, go ahead and do that if you have to. And really, like, looking into the mirror can help you with that. Like, how do you know if you look focused and intense or if you just look goofy when you're doing that face? Unless you look. But once you've kind of developed, okay, this is how my alter ego is going to be, right? Again, think of yourself as like you got your Superman. What is Superman like? He's confident. He does the right thing. He makes the, if you were a basketball player, doing the right thing would be making the right play. He's here to help. He's here to do, everything, and he's not really afraid of anything. You can kind of get that persona, or you could do with like the Shaq has. He's like, more of an intimidation factor. Kobe Bryant was the Mamba mentality, which was more like kind of a little bit cocky, a little bit trash talking, but at the same time, just laser focused, whatever it takes to win, right? So there's all these little different ways you can come up with your alter ego. And, for every person, it's going to be a little bit different. Like me, look at me, I'm a skinny guy, right? I'm not going to go on the court and try to be like intimidating like Shaq, but I might try to be intimidating like Kobe. Like Kobe had his own way of intimidation, right? It wasn't like, or even Allen Iverson, right? Short guy. He wasn't afraid of anybody. He came at him because he knew maybe, okay, I'm not going to body you up and like intimidate you that way, but he knew he was quicker. He knew he was more skilled than just about anyone on the court, and he always thought he was the most skilled and the best player on court, and nobody could stop him. That's a way of intimidating people. That's a way of coming across as confident. And when you have that as your foundation and you practice it and rep it out, you're going to start to get better at that side of things. And if you don't think this works, think about this for a second. Have you ever seen like some of those true stories about like a kid that's always treated like garbage by his parents? Maybe his parents always talk down on him and tells him to be quiet. In fact, I had a friend like this in high school. He was always told to shut up. And I went to high school with this kid, and he was actually a really cool dude. But he never talked. He didn't have a lot of friends. Like, I was one of his first friends because I was like, this dude, he was on cross country with me, and I kind of like felt bad that like, didn't seem like he really had much of a social life. And it was because after I got to know him, I found out his dad always told him to be quiet. If you hear that enough, if you're telling yourself things like that enough, like that, okay, you're not good at basketball. You got to be worried about getting the ball stolen. You got to be worried about missing shots. You got to be worried about getting your shot blocked. If you're listening to what other people are telling you, or even just yourself telling you that, that starts to create who you are. So what you need to do when you go into your practice is get that repetition of telling yourself, you know what, I'm good. I can become the type of player I want to be, right? Think about it now. If like you got a parent telling all the time, and you know maybe you've heard of like the coach's kid. You know, the coach's kid doesn't always play a lot just because he's the coach's kid. He's also playing a lot probably because the coach is believing in his kid and reinforcing to his kid that, hey, you're a great player. You're one of the best players on the team. Hearing that over and over starts to develop your mentality and create the way you play. Now, final note on all this stuff is, look, you put this in place. You start to, approach your mentality. You figure out your alter ego, your face in the mirror, all that stuff. You practice over and over thinking to yourself, I'm the best player on the court. I'm going to make every shot. I'm going to, this, and that. All the stuff you want to do, and you develop that confidence. Even if you've developed skills, and you've also developed this mental attitude, don't necessarily think that everything's going to go perfect. Everybody misses shots. Everybody turns the ball over. But also keep this in mind. When you first start applying this, you might mess up, fairly often. Like when you're not used to taking chances that you didn't take before, taking shots you didn't take before, it's going to take a little bit of time for your body to adjust to that timing, the way things look on the court, because you're doing things you haven't done before with defenders closer to you maybe, or, setting them up with a move you've never tried before. It's going to take a little while to adjust. But the more you go into games with this alter ego, and you approach confidently, you take chances and start to get better at the things that you know you should be able to do because you've practiced them over and over and over in the driveway, you'll start to understand, okay, this is the little tweak I need. This is the extra inch I need to put on my crossover to get past my defender. I need to put a little more power, a little more snap in the wrist. Maybe you need to wait a second longer before you go into the crossover, a second later. You could start to figure those things out by taking those chances. You could figure out, okay, off this move, I need a little bit extra space to get that jump shot off so my defender can't block me. But you don't learn those things without taking those chances. So that's why the alter ego is so important. So you start taking those chances, but you got to stick with the alter ego even if you have some failure when you first go into games. It's going to take some time. But with that time, it'll happen quicker than you probably think. You will start to play better in-game situations and make more of those good plays like your alter ego thinks you should be and will be every single time you step on the court. Now, this is your foundation for everything with your mentality to be confident in games and stop being nervous. But I'll also have pinned to the top comment another YouTube video that will help you a ton with some other ways to develop more confidence and stop being nervous in games forever. If this video helped, be sure you subscribe and click the bell icon to catch the newest videos. I will also have a free workout pinned to that top comment for you as well. It's where we have thousands of players. I'm sure it'll help you too. It'll actually help you improve your ball handling and your athleticism in minutes at the same time. I will see you in those next Make Moves today.